John Hunyadi was born in the southern part of the Kingdom of Hungary, into a Transylvanian Catholic Hungarian noble family. He served as a court knight to King Sigismund and took part in numerous military conflicts in defense of Hungary's interests. Appointed to defend the southern borders, he served as the head of several counties, Voivode of Transylvania, Count of the Székelys, and Captain-in-Chief of the Hungarian army, eventually becoming one of the wealthiest lords in the country. Hunyadi led numerous defensive battles and offensive campaigns against the expanding Ottoman Empire, ultimately becoming the Regent-Governor of Hungary. He devoted all his wealth to the defense of Hungary and died in 1456 as a result of his dedication. His victory halted the Ottoman advance into Europe beyond the Balkans for 70 years. The noon bell in Christian churches now commemorates Hunyadi's victory over the Ottomans at the Siege of Belgrade. He is considered a Hungarian national hero and a key figure in the nation's history. His son, Matthias Hunyadi, became King of Hungary at the age of 15 and is regarded as one of the greatest Hungarian monarchs of all time, continuing his father's mission to make Hungary great. However, the Romanians claim Hunyadi for themselves, asserting that Hunyadi was a Romanian hero, and King Matthias of Hungary was also Romanian. They even included them in the Romanian national anthem. Some Romanians cannot stand that Hunyadi defended Hungary with his Hungarian army. The memorial of the heroes of the Siege of Belgrade was vandalized, with the Hungarian national ribbon torn off and thrown in the trash. Nevertheless, when Kolozsvár, the Transylvanian Hungarian city, became part of Romania after World War I in 1920, for many years the Romanians wanted to demolish the statue of King Matthias. Apart from constantly repeating the slogan, Hunyadi was Romanian, they cannot say anything else about him. The Romanians betrayed Hunyadi several times. After the Battle of Varna in 1444, the Wallachian voivode captured Hunyadi to hand him over to the Sultan. The Battle of Kosovo in 1448 was one of the most important battles of Hunyadi's life, the last chance to expel the Turks from the Balkans. Hunyadi lost because the Romanians betrayed him and switched to the Ottoman side on the battlefield on the third day of the battle. Hunyadi led several retaliation campaigns against Wallachia as an enemy, devastated the Romanian province, executed its rulers, installed new ones, and forced them into vassalage under the Hungarian crown. In 1600, the troops of Wallachian voivode Michael the Brave looted Hunyadi's grave in Gyulafehérvár. Even the giant mace, the victory monument commemorating Hunyadi at the Iron Gate, was destroyed by the Romanians. In 1918, Romanian troops occupying Transylvania desecrated the Hunyadi family tomb in Gyulafehérvár, scattering the bones, which is why researchers had to take a genetic sample from the grave of Matthias Hunyadi's son in Croatia. As part of a Hungarian-Croatian international research project, researchers from the Institute of Hungarian Research collected bone samples from the Pauline Monastery in Lepoglava, taken from the remains of John Corvinus and Christopher Corvinus, to determine their genetic composition. This genetic information is crucial for identifying the remains of King Matthias Corvinus of Hungary, whose bones are scattered in the ossuary of Székelys. The team, led by Endre Neperaski, successfully identified the DNA profiles of members of the Hunyadi family using next-generation sequencing, enabling them to decode the entire genome. The genetic results were published in 2022 in Helion, an international scientific journal with the highest Q1 ranking. The majority genome components of John Corvinus were already present in the Carpathian Basin thousands of years ago. The highest genetic affinity was observed with European Neolithic samples originating from the Carpathian Basin, as well as with ancient Neolithic and Copper Age samples from present-day Hungary. The paternal Y chromosome haplogroup of the Hunyadi family was successfully identified as belonging to the major EV13 group, which originated approximately 7,800 years ago and is widespread across Eurasia. Today, the EV13 haplogroup is found in similar proportions among the populations of both Hungary and Romania. When compared to the ancient samples analyzed so far, the closest genetic matches to the paternal haplogroup of the Hunyadi descendants are a sample from the Otrar Karatau culture of the Iron Age Kazakh steppes, located in the Scythian-Sarmatian steppes, near the Alai Nura Saka and Tien Shan Hunnic sites, as well as a sample from medieval Sardinia. The closest ancient samples from the Carpathian Basin matching the paternal haplogroup of the Hunyadi genome were found in Avar individuals, elite Hungarian conquerors, and a medieval Hungarian nobleman from the Hungarian Royal Basilica. The My True Ancestry genetic website also shows these close genetic matches of the Hunyadi paternal haplogroup with the analyzed ancient samples. Since then, the database has been expanded with additional samples, and more very close ancient sample matches from present-day Hungary are now visible, along with many ancient samples from present-day Serbia, particularly near Belgrade, where Hunyadi achieved his most important victory. One of the new Hungarian samples shows an identical paternal lineage to that of the Hunyadi family, originating from the Avar period, specifically from present-day Bodijk near Székely. The genetic website shows archaeogenetic samples similar to John Corvinus, the son of King Matthias, and the Austrian Barbara Edelpeck. The algorithm reveals which modern populations are genetically closest to John Corvinus. Interestingly, Romania does not appear in the top 8. The My True Ancestry website highlights in yellow on the map the archaeogenetic samples analyzed so far that share common DNA segments with the genetics of John Corvinus, providing evidence of direct common ancestry between John Corvinus and the sample. It is clear that these sample matches are concentrated in the Carpathian Basin, specifically within the area of the former Kingdom of Hungary. With an ancient Carpathian Basin genome, it is highly unlikely that Hunyadi is the descendant of a late medieval Balkan Vlach, Romanian immigrant family. In 2024, the Institute of Hungarian Research published the results of the archaeogenetic study of the Abba family cemetery in Abashar. It was revealed that members of the Abba family were related to significant medieval Hungarian noble families, such as the Arpads, the Bathories, and the Hunyadis, as well as to members of the Hungarian conqueror elite. The genetic results uncovered dynastic connections that were not documented in written sources. Nevertheless, genetic analysis revealed kinship ties among these prominent Hungarian families, suggesting that marital connections were common within the noble class of the medieval Kingdom of Hungary. The My True Ancestry genetic website also features analyzed genetic samples from the Abba and Bathory families, originating from the same period, which show shared DNA segments with the DNA of grandson of John Hunyadi, further reinforcing Hungarian ancestry. Modern genetic studies show that the genetics of present-day Hungarians and the population of the Carpathian Basin belong to the common European gene pool that formed in the Bronze Age. There has been genetic continuity in the Carpathian Basin since the Bronze Age, along with continuous migration from eastern steppe populations. This common European gene pool has been layered by successive waves of eastern origin migrations. The incoming Scythian and Sarmatian groups also had genetic data reflecting the profile of the local European population, and the majority of the Hungarian conquerors carried European genomes as well. The foundational population of the Carpathian Basin, carrying the common European gene pool, remained the majority throughout the migratory periods in the region. In biological terms, the descendants of the Avar period population constituted the majority of the early Arpadian Age population throughout the Carpathian Basin. After the devastation caused by the Mongol and Ottoman invasions, settlers from other parts of Europe also contributed to the modern genetic landscape of the region. Based on archaeological and archaeogenetic evidence, the Carpathian Basin was not empty when the Hungarian tribes under Arpad arrived. Thanks to archaeogenetic research, it has been shown that the Hungarian conquerors intermixed with the population living in the Carpathian Basin. Naturally, the genetic heritage of both the Avars and the Hungarian conquerors can still be traced in present-day Hungarians. Nowadays, many Hungarians upload their DNA to the My True Ancestry genetic website, which reveals this genetic heritage. The so-called Hungarian conquerors, the people of Arpad, together with the local population of the Carpathian Basin, became Hungarians. The maps highlight the archaeogenetic samples that share DNA segments with the genetics of present-day Hungarian individuals, providing direct evidence of common ancestry between the individual and the sample. It is clearly visible that these close sample matches concentrate around and within the Carpathian Basin. This map shows the similar type of sample matches for John Corvinus, which are comparable to the results of present-day Hungarians. By the time Hunyadi was born, the Kingdom of Hungary had already been a state for more than 500 years, with a Hungarian population and ancient local genetics. In light of this, it is unlikely that Hunyadi came from a late medieval Balkan Vlach, Romanian immigrant family, considering his ancient Carpathian Basin genetics. The historiography of surrounding peoples and Hungarian historiography universally reject the Romanian nationalist Daco-Roman theory. According to this theory, modern Romanians are descendants of Romanized Dacians and Roman conquerors. The theory emphasizes continuous presence and seeks to support the idea of the autochthony of Romanians in Transylvania, particularly after Romania was granted thousand-year-old Hungarian territories by the Entente following World War I. The theory was meant to create the impression Romania had rightfully received from the great powers these Hungarian territories, many purely Hungarian regions and cities without any Romanian past. The centuries of wars in Hungary, waves of migration, and various other factors contributed to the demographic changes whereby Romanians, originally a Balkan migrant group, came to form majorities in certain regions over time. In 1920, in the territories taken from Hungary, the population was roughly half Romanian and half non-Romanian, yet overall, Romania received a larger territory for 2.8 million Romanians than what remained for 7.2 million Hungarians in Hungary. Still, irredentist Romania, having attacked Hungary multiple times, demanded an even larger territory extending as far as the Tisza River, beyond what it eventually received. The great powers paid no attention whatsoever to ethnic boundaries. They simply wanted to create an alliance blockade around Germany and paid off their new allies with Hungarian lands. It also highlights the notion that Romanians were culturally superior to all newly arriving Germanic, Slavic, Bulgarian, and Hungarian peoples, and that they were always the majority in Transylvania over the Hungarians, who allegedly conquered and oppressed them. British historian Martin Rady summarizes the situation as follows.
The sources consistently refer to Wallachia as being a largely uninhabited woodland before the 13th century, and until this time, they contain no explicit references to Vlachs either here or anywhere in Hungary and Transylvania.
According to this, no one knew of this allegedly culturally superior and always majority Romanian population for over 1,000 years, which only proves that the Daco-Roman theory, created by political motivations, is based solely on Romanian nationalist speculation. In recent years, genetic studies have shed new light on the issue, showing that 50–60% of the Romanian genome is of Slavic origin, similar to their Balkan neighbors. According to Hungarian historiography, the Vlachs, ancestor of today's Romanians, migrated from the Balkans to the territory of the Kingdom of Hungary in the late Middle Ages. This is also why Hunyadi cannot be of Romanian descent, as most of the genetic components of the Hunyadi family were already present in the Carpathian Basin thousands of years ago. Moreover, the average Hungarians, with their ancient Carpathian Basin genetics, look quite different from the average Romanians in the Wallachian region. Followers of the Daco-Roman myth argue that the Hungarians oppressed them and deny that the Romanians ever migrated to Transylvania. Ironically, they claim that Hunyadi is the only Romanian who actually migrated to Transylvania, and in that great oppression, he became a Hungarian governor, and his son later became the King of Hungary. The area was called Cumania, where later in the 14th century, the voivodeship of Wallachia would be established as a Hungarian vassal state. The Banate of Severin was also a southern province of the Kingdom of Hungary, founded by the future King Bela IV. Moldavia likewise emerged as a Hungarian buffer state in 1346, after the Székelys, the Hungarian army, which had launched a retaliation campaign, pushed the Tatars beyond the Dniester River. Given Hunyadi's rapid rise, Numerous contemporary theories about his origin arose. Some believed he was the illegitimate son of King Sigismund of Hungary. The raven in the Hunyadi coat of arms, holding a ring in its beak, is also part of the Sigismund legend. The Tarosi Chronicle traced his lineage to a noble and famous Wallachian family. However, during that time, the Wallachian ruling class was of Cuman and Hungarian origin, and many Wallachian rulers had Hungarian noblewomen as their wives. Wallachia was also referred to as Ungro-Vlahia in old documents, even by Wallachian voivodes in the 17th century, which means Hungarian Wallachia. The region, like the Kingdom of Hungary, was multi-ethnic, as were most medieval states. In the Middle Ages, political status and religion were what mattered, and the Hunyadi family was Catholic. John Hunyadi's mother was Elizabeth, and his sister was Clara, both Catholic Hungarian names, not names used by the Orthodox Romanians. The father of John Hunyadi was named Voic, just as King Saint Stephen of Hungary of the Arpad dynasty had been 400 years earlier, although some extreme Romanian voices even claim that Saint Stephen was also Romanian. For example, King Bela III of Hungary was referred to as a Greek because, at the age of 15, he was raised in Constantinople at the court of his relative, Emperor Manuel, and became the heir of the Byzantine throne. Ultimately, however, he returned to Hungary and became king. After the defeat at the Battle of Varna, John Hunyadi, governor of Hungary, wrote to Pope Eugene, through his secretary John Vitez, requesting assistance in reorganizing the Hungarian armed forces, and stated that as long as he lives, he will not rest until he has freed his homeland from both its losses and its humiliation. In the same letter, Hunyadi writes that he will pray for God himself to pass judgment on the Romanian rulers, who played a shameful and treacherous game with his people. Their friendship, he says, became an evil netcast over the Hungarians, and the foreign auxiliary troops that had been promised hastened to take up ambush positions against them. Pietro Ranzano, an Italian bishop, envoy of the Kingdom of Naples and court historian to King Matthias Hunyadi of Hungary, wrote in the Epitome Rerum Hungaricarum that, in his last speech, John Hunyadi spoke in his native language to the Hungarian lords, urging them to protect their country, Hungary as well as his family. Bonfini, the court historian of King Matthias, records that when Matthias Hunyadi was elected king, all of Hungary rejoiced. In the villages and towns, the Hungarian people everywhere shouted,
"Long live King Matthias! Long live the son of the father of the homeland! Long live Hungary! He will free us from the cruel rule of foreigners."
Despite all this, according to Romanian propaganda, Matthias, or rather Matei Corvin, was a great Romanian king, even though they don't even know his name, since Matei means Matthew, whereas in Romanian Matthias should be Mattia. Because of constant betrayals and cooperation with the Ottomans, Hunyadi did not have a very good relationship with Wallachia. In 1442, after defeating the Ottomans at the Iron Gate Pass in Transylvania, Hunyadi immediately launched a lightning campaign into Wallachia to punish the Romanian voivode, who was accused of cooperating with the Turks during their raid. Hunyadi deposed and executed the Romanian ruler, then installed a new pro-Hungarian voivode at the head of the province, thereby restoring Hungarian influence. In the anti-Ottoman crusade of 1444, at the Battle of Varna, the Hungarian king died. The Hungarian army's route home to Transylvania led through Wallachia, where the Romanians once again did not hesitate to switch to the side of the victors, beginning to beat, plunder, and hand over the survivors to the Turks. The Romanian voivode, Dracul, captured Hunyadi in order to hand him over to the Sultan. Hunyadi regained his freedom only as a result of the Hungarian Diet's threatening demands, which warned that the Hungarian army would march and reduce the entire Romanian province to the ground. Bonfini, the court historian of King Matthias Corvinus, writes that John Hunyadi, because of his virtue and the many good deeds he had done for Hungarian society, was elected governor of Hungary, granting him full power over the realm. We can imagine what strong emotions must have driven Hunyadi, since his first action was not to attack the Turks, but to organize a punitive campaign against Wallachia.
After the dissolution of the assembly, The first matter was the punishment of Dracula, Prince of Wallachia beyond the mountains, who, having violated the sacred laws of hospitality and of alliance, had seized him on his return from the Battle of Varna. Therefore, he immediately ordered a mobilization, and with the army thus assembled, he advanced into the province. Crossing the mountains, he entered Wallachia as an enemy, set fire to many villages and towns, and soon took possession of the entire land. In one of the cities, he captured Dracula together with his two sons. The father, who pleaded in vain, was put to death with his elder son. Both were beheaded, thus paying the price of their treachery. The younger son had both his eyes put out. Thereupon, Corvinus appointed another so-called voivode in Dracula's stead. After the conquest of the province, he returned joyfully to Buda.
The Chronica Hungarorum recounts the events in this way.
Afterwards, it pleased the Lord Governor to avenge the imprisonment inflicted by Voivode Dracul of Wallachia, for he had not yet forgotten such inhospitable treatment. Therefore, he raised a great armed host against him, crossed the mountains, invaded his land, laid waste to the whole province, captured him, and had him, together with his son, executed by beheading according to their age. Another voivode of the country, the son of the late voivode Dan, was blinded. Thus did he exact vengeance upon Voivode Dracul for his captivity. To the land he gave another voivode, one who obeyed his command and then returned to Hungary.
After Hunyadi's Hungarian army defeated Voivode Dracul and his son Mircea, the boyars of Targoviste who supported Hunyadi captured Mircea, blinded him with a red-hot poker, and then buried him alive. Hunyadi represented Hungary. He repeatedly invaded Wallachia as an enemy, ravaged the Romanian province, executed the Romanian rulers one after another, and installed new ones on the Wallachian throne, forcing them to kneel and serve Hungary. Nevertheless, it seems that today Romanians regard him as a great Romanian hero, a symptom of a kind of Romanian Stockholm syndrome. On this contemporary fresco, King Sigismund is depicted with John Hunyadi. The fresco is located in the church in Castiglione Olona near Milan. The commissioner was Cardinal Branda da Castiglione, who, as a confidant of King Sigismund, served in Hungary for many years and personally knew the young knights, including John Hunyadi, who accompanied the king to Italy in 1431. The fresco was painted by Masolino da Panicale during this time. John Hunyadi is depicted with blonde hair and distinctly Hungarian facial features. Contemporary descriptions and depictions also show King Matthias as having blonde hair. Blonde hair is not particularly characteristic of the Romanian population in the area of former Wallachia. Court historian of King Matthias, Bonfini's description reads as follows.
The divine Matthias was slightly taller than average, with a gallant figure. His expression was noble, radiating spiritual greatness. His face was ruddy, and his hair was golden.
In 2022, researchers from the Institute of Hungarian Research, who identified the genetics of the Hunyadi family, gave an interview.
Szerintem, hogyha figyelembe vesszük az eredményeket, akkor annak alapján még jobban megbizonyosodhattunk a magyar álláspontnak a valóság tartalmáról, közelebb vittek ehhez. Nyilván 100%-ban soha nem lehet eldönteni semmit, időgéppel mi sem rendelkezünk, de ezek az eredmények nagyon megerősítik az eddig is képviselt magyar álláspontot.
Ez egy évszázados vita. Hát valójában Hunyadi János a magyarságnak, a balkáni népeknek, a török ellenes küzdelemnek, mindenkinek a hőse. Szinte természetes, hogy mindenki magáénak akarta tudni, de azt gondolom, hogy ezek a kutatási eredmények, amelyeket most ugye Endréjék elsősorban a lepoglavai sikeres kriptanyítás és Korvin János, Korvin Kristóf maradványaiból vett sikeres mintavételek és azoknak az elemzése és kiértékelése az egyértelműsítette nagy valószínűséggel, hogy főigazgató úr is mondta, nagy valószínűséggel a magyar álláspont az, ami igaz.
És immár teljes genom adatokkal, tehát a teljes örökítőanyagát leolvastuk a Korvin Jánosnak és Korvin Kristófnak, és ezek azt mutatták, hogy a genomadatok alapján ősi Kárpát-medencei népességgel mutatta a legközelebbi genetikai rokonságot, és azt is az archaikus mintákkal el akarjuk helyezni, hogy honnan származik ez a férfi genetikai vonala a Hunyadi családnak, akkor azt találtuk, hogy főcsoport szinten mutat egy kazak sztyeppei minta, vaskorból hasonlóságot, és ha időben haladunk előre, akkor még a Kárpát-medencéből, az avarkorból találtunk olyan archaikus mintát, ami ezt a haplocsoport főcsoporttal, a honfoglalás korából, Árpád népéből, és középkori magyar nemesi mintát is találtunk, hanem teljes genom szinten csináljuk, ami sokszor megfoghatatlan, de annak az értelme, hogy a testi kromoszómákból a valódi, pontos rokoni távolságot ki tudjuk következtetni 4-5 generáción belül. Azt azért elmondom, hogy ez a kutatócsoportunk egyik legnagyobb sikere, az az algoritmus, amit jelenleg publikálás alatt van, amit fejlesztettünk Magyarországon egy szuperszámítógépen, Maróti Zoli kollégámat hadd emeljem ki, ami egyedül mi vagyunk, vagy ennek a programnak a segítségével képes a világ, és ezt fogja használni olyan archaikus genomokból a pontos, távolabbi rokonság becslésére. Az egész világ ebben a szakmában, abban a szakmában, amiben ugye most kapta a Nobel-díjat a kutató, és egy olyan algoritmus fejlesztését folyt nálunk, amit később ezekhez a vizsgálatokhoz ők is tudnak használni.
De hogy Túróci fényes havasalföldi származásúnak írja, de nem vlachnak.
Ez igaz egyébként, igen.
Azt mondja, fényes havasalföldi származású. Egy területről való származás nem azonos a nemzetiséggel, mert akkor a 13 aradi vértanú is, mivel magyarországiak, akkor mindegyik magyar. A déli Kárpátok és az Aldunak közötti területet nevezzük havasalföldnek földrajzilag.
Csak egy olyan ütköző zóna, ami a Magyar Királyság, Bizánc, majd a török birodalom közti terület. És pont ez az ütköző zóna adja azt a lehetőséget, hogy egy nagyon komoly népmozgás is zajlik. A Havasalföld mindig fókuszában volt a Magyar Királyságnak, egyfajta pufferzónaként a Magyar Királyság déli területeinek a védelme érdekében mindig hatást kellett rá gyakorolni. De ugyanez volt Bizánc részéről is, ugyanez volt az Oszmán Birodalom részéről is. Most ebből adódik valójában az, hogy a vezető réteg, azt általában mindig ez az uralkodó elit, a hatalmat éppen ráerőszakoló vagy megszerző elit adta. Amit ugye az előbb a Túrócira kapcsolatban utalt a Csaba, valószínű, hogy ez is ez lehet. Tehát, hogy egy olyan család, egy olyan katonadinasztia kerülhetett akár Havasalföld élére, amelyből a Hunyadiak származhattak.
Igen, 895 után először besenyők lakják Havasalföldöt, majd 1055 után egy kun besenyő lakosság. És a délről észak felé vándorló vlachok a 13. században érik el, de a vezető réteg akkor kun. És ez a Bazarád vagy Basaraba, neki az édesapja Toktemür. Toktemür egyértelműen kun jellegű név, és ő az aranyhorda egyik vezére volt. És amikor az aranyhordában polgárháborúk dúlnak, akkor a peremkerületek leszakadnak, és Havasalföldön létrejön egy kun-olá bolgár, valamiféle államalakulat. A vezető réteg olyannyira kun, hogy a nemességnek a neve később is bolyár vagy bolyér. Az kunul azt jelenti előkelő. A Magyar Királyságnak pedig időnként voltak Kárpátokon túli tartományai. 13. században például Almás és Farkas nevű embereket jegyeznek föl, és hogy mennyire függött sokszor a 18. században is a politikai formációnak a neve, a 16-ban, 15-ben Ungro-Valachia. Az ország egész neve Ungro-Valachia, tehát Magyar-Oláország. Magyar lakosság még a 19. században is van,